Hey y'all. Okay, so I believe I'm live. Sonia, I think you're here. If you are, text me. I have my phone. So text me and let me know that you can hear me. I believe that you all can. I see two people here. I think I have Sonia and Pauline here. So welcome to Trigger Tuesdays. Today is Tuesday. There's something on my screen here. Welcome to the latest episode. Yes, we can hear you. Okay, thank you, Sonia. Welcome to the latest episode of Trigger Tuesdays. Hold on one second. I'm just gonna step off camera to grab something. So before I get into today's list of topics, I just want to introduce to you what Trigger Tuesdays is all about. So for the past 10 weeks, today is episode 10. For the past 10 weeks, I have been going live on Instagram, actually the past 9 weeks because last week I was live on Facebook. Anyway, live on Instagram with my fishbowl of topics here. I, throughout the week, write down things that trigger me, like, what did she just say? Wait a minute, what did he just do in that movie? And I go live and I share them with you because, like, I know if I'm thinking it, like, you're thinking it. So, like, why can't we talk about it? So that's traditionally what Trigger Tuesdays is all about. Here's my fishbowl. Oh, so here are the topics that I usually pull out. And in here, I put topics that are sent in to me from viewers, which is a lot of fun because, like I said, we're all connected, right? And if I'm thinking it and you're thinking it, Trigger Tuesdays is where we should be talking about it. So getting into today's topic. So as a Black woman, I just can't have a show called Trigger Tuesdays, Trigger anything, and lie to y'all and like not tell you what I'm actually triggered by. And right now, it's everything that's going on with the media. And no, I am not talking about COVID-19. I'm not talking about Corona. I do have my mask, and I'm ready just in case, whenever we need to. But I am talking about the current civil rights movement. Thank you, George, for sharing, which, if you guys don't know, it is I was surprised by this. This is the biggest civil rights movement in history. It is worldwide, which is something that to be honest, I wasn't even sure how to respond to that. Like when I saw Paris and Berlin and they're like knocking down statues, it's just so like overwhelming because it's such a good feeling that I'm like, I don't really know how to embrace this. So what I have for you tonight are 8 lovely topics. I have a deck here. So if you guys see me look down, it's because I'm referring to my topic list, and there are certain things about each topic that I really want to drive home and make sure that we get it right. So getting into the first topic, in light of the civil rights movement that's going on and all the protests that are happening, some things that are coming across my lexicon are comments like, give me a moment to say it because this was very triggering. We don't have any power to make any demands. Are you crazy? Like, we don't have any power. That tells me that most people, excuse me, because I'm looking on my laptop here as I'm getting ready to open up a document that I want to share with you all. Saying that we don't have any power is definitely telling me that we don't understand exactly how much money we spend and what exactly that means. So let's get into it. I am looking, if you're looking to make a comment or anything like that, feel free to make a comment. I will respond. If you have my personal cell phone number, you can also use that to make a comment if you want to submit your own trigger topics. So getting into the first topic, which is understanding the power of the Black dollar. Going through my topics here. You know, sometimes you try to be so prepared and then you look through and you're like, oh, okay. So it's not page 1. Okay. So first thing first, The black dollar amounts to 1.2 trillion. I'm trying to like trillion. That's with a T. Dollars spent annually, every year. Every year, we as a people spend 1.2 trillion dollars in this economy. Now, I ask you, if you go anywhere and you spend $1.2 trillion, wouldn't you expect some goddamn respect? Wouldn't you demand it? Imagine this. Imagine if you walked into a restaurant and you bought like 2 pages off their menu. Wouldn't you feel, dare I say it, entitled to respect? Okay. So that's the first thing. Next, African Americans make up 14% of the US population. We make up 14%. Okay, that's a low number, but yet we spend $1.2 trillion. And it is very important that we understand that there is a big difference between 14% of the population and $1.2 trillion. And there, right there in the middle, that is our power. The problem is we don't understand this as a power. Why don't we understand that as a power? Because we often put our money back into white businesses. That's the first problem, which we are addressing this. This is going around on Instagram. We're talking a lot about this, just feeding into Black businesses. But the bigger picture is our relationship with money is flawed. And maybe not everyone, but for a lot of us out there, and I'll be honest, for me, the relationship that I grew up having with money, it was always from a place of scarcity. We don't have enough. We'll never have enough. I'm just happy to have this job with some good benefits. And that just kind of puts this woe is me mentality in our mind, which tells us that we can never really have much. So that way, when we do get a surplus, most of the time we go and we spend it on something that gives us some kind of immediate gratification, because we haven't, a lot of people say we haven't been taught, but I would like to say bigger than that. We haven't been shown that there is something else that we can do. Bigger than that, a lot of places that we invest, who can we really trust with investing in our money? And maybe that should be another trigger topic, like where are the Black banks? Because they are out there. To be honest with you, I haven't done most of that research to find out where they are. But to wrap this topic up, what I'm trying to say is that to anyone who feels that we do not have power and we cannot actually get what we're asking for, that is absolutely not true. We have power with our finances. And for me, who has the heart of an activist, I've been, my very first career goal was being not just a lawyer, but a lobbyist. So for me, it's like, our power is in finance. And anytime that you are going against an oppressor, you hit them in their pockets. And once we start to understand what it means to spend $1.2 trillion in our society and how that gives us a massive voice, and once we take that power and that control back, we can make this movement whatever we want. And we can actually get the policies, procedures, and laws that we should be and rightfully are demanding. Let's get into a photo that I want to show you all. Because as we're talking about, we spend $1.2 trillion. It's also important to understand, where are we spending this $1.2 trillion? Like, where is it going? Wait a second. Okay, there we are. Share. Please bear with me. I am using StreamYard. This is only my second time using this. Okay, guys, so let's get into this. So here we have a graphic from High Snobity, if I'm saying that right. Snobity. Anyway, it's all about the black dollar, where it goes, and it's a study that's done by Nielsen. So at the very top, hair care. Need I say more, ladies? Y'all know we spend a heck of a lot of money on hair care, which to be honest, we don't even need to. That's a whole other topic. Anything you really need for your hair, you can find in your kitchen if you're really natural. Look at my hair. Most of the things that I put in my hair, like I also put in my belly, in my body. But that's a whole other topic once we get more into Black Power topics and how they've taken our dollars from spending on relaxers into let's buy this fancy coconut oil. Well, not, you can just go to your like local supermarket and buy yourself some coconut oil. So that's the first one. Then after that, we have grooming aids, which is kind of like one and the same to me. After that, we have watches and skincare. So we're looking at one sector, we spend 473 million. Another one, it's 127 million. Another one is 60. The lowest one is 60 million. So what this tells me is, let me stop sharing, bring my screen back up. For anyone who thinks like Blackout Tuesday is useless or like, what is it really going to do? My response to that is we don't need a Blackout Tuesday. We need a blackout quarter at least. Because did you see those numbers? listen, guys. I come from a position of business, and when you are negotiating, because like it or not, we're negotiating. When you're negotiating with someone, you got to hit them where it hurts, and that's usually in their pockets. There is like, what's in it for me? You guys heard of that? Like, what is in it for me? And to be honest, 400 years later, I think the issue is like, they're like, I'm good with the way things are. It benefits me. Why should I change? And I would argue to say that if we truly understand the power of the black dollar, that is $1.2 trillion annually spent by 14% of the population. If we continue to pull that back when more than just a 1-day blackout, and we think about what would that actually mean if we bonded together and did this for at least a quarter or more, like they did, back in the other civil rights movement with the boycott of the busing system, we could and would have our demands met. So that's what I have to say. I think that's what I have to say. Wait, let me look at my notes. Oh, so the other thing is just like a little note about like even understanding the power of your own dollar. A lot of us feel like I don't really make a lot of money. Like I can't really save. And no, I'm not an accountant, but I can't come here and talk about the power of the black dollar without at least adding a little tidbit about how you can have power and control over your own personal finances. So I just want to give you like a little nugget to think about. $25 a week. We blow $25 a week on Ubers, coffee, things like that. I know I do. However, if you put away $25 a week for 30 years and you invested that, at the end of that, you would have at least $250,000 to pass on to your children. And these are things that we need to start thinking about as Black people. Like, what are we going to pass on to our children? What will our legacy be? I love my foremothers and forefathers dearly, but I also recognize that when we be like 18, they were just like, okay, go get a job. Good luck. That's it. So really start to think about not only the power of the national black dollar, but owning the power of your personal black dollar and what you can do with that in your household and your personal legacy. So on to the next topic. I'm looking around for comments. I don't see any. Sorry if I'm not addressing them, but I'm looking at my phone. I don't see any, and I don't think I have any comments. So on to the next topic. Implementing the national Black political agenda. This one is a really juicy one. I know for one, personally, when when any protests start, to be honest. And I'm going to be very transparent with you guys. I'm always like, but what do we want? Like, we can't just be out there like, give me my pasta, and like we're not letting you know what brand of pasta. I know that's like a really trivial example. Don't cancel me for that. So with that, I actually discovered a website called Black to the Future. That is Black, the number 2, the future.org. And on this website, I found not the 1972 version, because a lot of us are familiar with that, the 2020 National Black Political Agenda, which was actually published 3 years ago. That was exciting to me to hear that. I don't know about you, but it was published 3 years ago, which means we are very prepared for what's happening now. Okay, so it was published 3 years ago by 50 different organizations, not by 50 different organizations. It was published by Black to the Future, but 50 different organizations contributed to this document, which pretty much lays out what we want. There's no other way to say it. Like, if we're out there protesting and saying Black Lives Matter and asking for policies and procedures, then we very well need to be very clear about what it is we want. And let's bring this back to like regular life, even in a relationship, like not in a personal relationship, a romantic relationship. You do not get what you want if you don't tell your partner what it is that you want and exactly what you want. And that's the stance that I come from. Like, unless you know what I want, I can't expect you to give it to me. Further than that, if you're dealing with someone who is an enemy and who has no respect for you, let me tell you, you will never get what you want if you wait for them to give it to you without saying exactly what it is that you want. So, digging a little bit deeper into the National Black Political Agenda. It is 30 pages long. You can download it from the website. It's a PDF. I'm not going to get into the details of it because I think it's something that we should all sit with, read it, digest it before any of us start to tear it apart, because sometimes people read things nowadays, everyone is like, a critic, especially on social media. Understand that what you are about to criticize might be addressing the needs or wants of someone who is not you, period. So with that said, let's take a little bit of a deeper look into exactly what the Black political agenda is addressing. Let me share my screen. Share. Thank you guys for your patience. One more button. There we go. Okay. So here we have just like kind of bullet points of what the National Black Political Agenda, I don't want to say attempts because that's just like such like a passive word, will or is addressing. For one, we want to end the war on Black people. That is very obvious. Second, reparations. I find it funny how once coronavirus started, suddenly everyone got a check or two. It's time for us to get our check or two as well, because we have been promised multiple things over the decades and centuries. And I'm going to get into that later on and with some other topics. Invest and divest. We are putting huge amounts of money into sectors that we publicly claim are not our priority. Why? That's an issue. We'll also get more into that later on. Economic justice, community control. This is a huge one on even like small levels, just like how we raise our children. I remember standing in the grocery store right at the top of COVID. This was like before they closed schools, and there was a woman standing behind me, and she was just like, "Oh my God, like I don't want them to close the New York public schools, because if they do, all of all of the thugs and teenagers will be on the street. They won't have anything to do. They'll just start like committing crimes. It's like, lady, first of all, hi, welcome to Harlem. Where have you been for the past 20 years? And once I move past that, I'm like, what makes you think that Black parents, because that's not what you're saying, but it's what you said, have no control over their children, or that our children would just be running the streets and running amok? What makes you think that? And then the last topic is political power. So, like I said, this document was released 3 years ago. I believe it's to be our working document of what we want once we start moving the conversation beyond the protest and getting in the streets. And I love that. And I've been out there myself. I've been out to a few protests. But at the end of the day, we need more than post. We need to keep this energy going. And we need to make real, solid changes that are in the way of policies and procedures. And I see this 2020 National Black Political Agenda as our vehicle on how we're going to get there. So I encourage all of you, if you have not done so already, download this document, read it for yourself, and see what parts of it resonate with you and how you can begin to see, okay, I know that there are 6 items here. I'm very passionate about invest, divest. Maybe there's a group or organization I can join where I can be helpful. Because, for me, I'm very much an activist, protester. I have a voice. I want to get out there. I barely have a voice now because I was leading the charge for Brianna because, I'm a Black feminist. Well, also got to stand up for Black women. But that's not everyone. And that's okay. There is a place for all of us in this movement. And I encourage you to read the National Black Political Agenda, the 2020 version, not the 1972 version. If you want to read that as well, read it because we should know our history. And also it's an interesting comparison to see what we were asking for in 1972 versus what we're asking for in 2020. That shit alone might set you off and upset you to see essentially we're asking for the same things. We haven't progressed as much as we would like to think we have. So I encourage you to check out that document. You can find it on blacktothefuture.com. It might be .org. I'm not exactly sure. Okay, so moving on to the next topic, which is life after defunding the NYPD. Okay, so in an effort to play fair, I'm going to put my disclaimer out there. My father was a police officer. My grandfather was a police officer. My mother was a police officer, manager, supervisor. So I spent my entire childhood in a precinct. I grew up looking at my father passed when I was young, but I grew up looking at a picture of him in his NYPD uniform. I still have his badge. However, I still understand that we have an issue with the NYPD, and I separate my personal relationships with any police officers from the bigger picture, which is what I would like every person to do when you're posting about not all bad, not all cops are bad. Imagine if we said that about pilots. Imagine if we felt that way, here I go. Here's my boarding pass. Yeah, I'm so excited. It's my first time going to Japan. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm a travel blogger. Wait, what? This pilot might be one of the bad ones? Because not all of your pilots are good. Some of them kill people? Where else is that shit acceptable? Nowhere else is it acceptable to say some of our staff kills people. Some of them don't, but it's okay. It's not okay. So let's get into why we should defund the NYPD and what that would look like. Okay. Before we talk about why we should defund the NYPD and what it would look like, let's talk about the 2019 budget for NYC. Let's talk about that first, because I know this is going to get a lot of my opposers for this. So in 2019, the NYPD budget was $6 billion. 2019, the NYPD budget was $6 billion. Wait for it. That same year, the New York City budget for jobs programs was $281 million. So right off the bat, we're talking about billions versus millions. We are investing billions into policing communities that we are not investing any money into, not just money, any programs into. Let me tell you something. You cannot just give someone half a fish here, half a fish there. You have to teach them how to fish, because if you don't, they will storm your lakes and take your fish. And then you, at that point, you can't say, hey, why you take my fish? I'm gonna take your fish because I'm hungry. And what have you done for me? Nothing. The important thing to note here is that while we are continuing to over invest in the NYPD, I will repeat that, $6 billion in 2019 for the NYPD budget versus $281 million that same year, same city, for the jobs programs. That is an issue. You are basically setting people up to be so desperate that maybe they don't have any food, or they don't have anything to wear, or they're just like fucking hate their lives. So you just put more cops on the street. Anyway, the important part to note here is that consistently for the past, let me see, because I'm looking at my notes here. For the past 3 straight decades, the crime rate has decreased. That is decades, not years. If we were talking about years, I could understand anyone saying, oh, but it's justified. With the fact that we are spending $6 billion, that is the reason why it's going down over the past couple of years. Honey, that might be true if we were talking about 3 years, but we're talking about 3 decades. And for any budget, any leader, whether it's a multi-billion-dollar company or your household, if you pump money into something trying to fix it, and then after a certain time you see that the problem is going down, wouldn't you yourself start to pull money out of that and address another issue that you are having in your home? If that is true for your home, it is also true for the community. If we are investing all this money into the NYPD and crime has gone down for 30 years, let me put that out there, not in decades, not in 3 decades, 30 years, then it is time to take some of that money and invest it into the people. And when I say the people, I mean jobs programs, or it's something that I haven't said yet on this clip. What about what New York invests in the Center for Disease Control? We're all in quarantine right now. You would think that, from everything that they were saying, it's like, oh, we've always been on it. No, you haven't. You have not always been on it. Because in 2019, we allocated $2.55 billion to the CDC versus, again, $6.6 billion for the NYPD. That is more than double. Let's get into some more numbers here. On average, there are about 5,500 officers in New York City schools. There are only 560 school psychologists, and there are 1.1 million children in our city. Honestly, for me as a mom, this is upsetting. Triggering. Welcome to Trigger Tuesdays. because it says to me, you are not investing into the betterment or the future of our children. We are sending them to these schools, and what are you doing? You are policing them without even teaching them or helping them. Hire more teachers, give teachers more money, get more supplies. I don't know, do I have any parents on here? But I know personally I have donated a hell of a lot of supplies to the Board of Ed at my son's school. So like some of that money could go towards and supplies. Sometimes teachers don't have things like crayons and paper towels. That is ridiculous that a pre-K or kindergarten in public school is going without things like paper towels and markers when we are spending $6 billion a year on the NYPD, when we have seen a decrease in violence for over 30 years. What is wrong with y'all? Put in 550 officers in schools and you only have 5,500 officers in schools when you only have 560 school psychologists. What message does that send to young people? It tells people I'm not shit. No one cares about me. When they look at me, all they see is a thug. And what does that tell a young person? That tells them, why even bother? If I go to school and all I see are police officers, that shit might make me angry too. Why should I try? No one believes in me. Everywhere I look, everyone's just telling me, like, you're nothing. Whether they're saying it or thinking it, children feel it. That is the number one reason why we should let me rephrase that, because a lot of times, sorry, I'm looking at my phone to see if anyone is messaging me who's watching right now. A lot of times when we say we want to defund the NYPD, people are like, oh my God, what does that look like? What do you mean? Take away their jobs? Yeah, I absolutely do mean take away their jobs. The other thing is, like, it's not just about defunding them. It's about taking some of that money and putting it in other places. Whatever happened to the PAL? Do you guys remember that? The Police Athletic League? Where is it? I haven't seen it in years. Are they taking some of that $6 billion and putting it there? I say it's time to, if we're going to talk about reform, okay, you don't want to defund the NYPD? Well, at least tell me where the hell that $6 billion is going. Because when I call the cops, I need y'all to show up a little bit faster. What y'all need? Like better cars? Okay, and so to anyone who's like, where are you getting these numbers from? I'm not about to sit up here and prove to you where I'm getting my numbers from. Because if you think that I would get on here and tell you guys something that's not false without having read it in a source that is credible, please log off right now, because you don't respect Black people, because you think that I would just get up here and spew some nonsense. So for anyone who's questioning my resources, they're legit. Moving on to something else I want to share. Did you guys hear that the Chicago police have a torture chamber? Torture chamber. And we don't understand why we are calling to defund the police. Defunding the police also looks like what? Policing our own communities. Here's another issue. If you put a rookie cop straight out of the academy into a neighborhood where no one looks like him, and every time that he's seen images of people who are Black and brown media, because this is what you do, we are portrayed as aggressive criminals. As soon as he gets there, he sees them, he has some fucking intrinsic fear. He's walking in with fear. And when you walk in with that fear, like my grandmother said, a scared person will kill you first, because they are not trying to go round for round, because in their mind, they think they can't, or know they can't. And their first thing is take you down. So part of defunding and divesting the NYPD will be just shifting the way we do things. Maybe. And I know this sounds a little bit like segregation, but at this point, send some Black officers to Black neighborhoods so that at least they're not walking in with this intrinsic fear that, oh, here's this big Black they're all bigger than me and stronger than me. I have nothing but the force of this gun. Because I this came up because I had a conversation with a friend of mine who, I don't know if is or was, I don't know how he labels it, but at some point, he's a member of uniform services, right? And I was just like, why are we always like, why is it always a shoot to kill? Like, don't you like, what about shoot to take down? Shoot to disarm? Damn, why we always gotta take them out? And he mentioned to me that it's an experience thing, and that made a lot of fucking sense. You cannot expect someone who's a year, 2 years, even 3 years out to have the wherewithal to know how to diffuse a situation that naturally scares them. Naturally. We're putting all these cops out here, and it's like, what kind of heart do you really have? Like, what do you really need to do to pass the test to be NYPD? Another thing, the Democrats have introduced this bill that calls for the creation of a federal registry of police conduct, which includes things like banning the chokehold. Great. I'm glad we're finally using our common sense that shit should not be allowed. Also, it's calling for the reform of the Qualified Immunity Act for officers. Well, goddamn it. I'll be honest, I didn't even know if this was a real thing. I thought it was just like the blue wall of silence, but this is a legit thing, and it is called the Qualified Immunity Act. Qualified immunity. So basically, if you're an officer, you qualify for immunity no matter what the fuck you do. Oh. So maybe that's why Breonna Taylor's murderers have not been charged or arrested yet. Maybe. But let me remind you about something. Remember the doctor who accidentally killed Michael Jackson, the black doctor? Remember what they did to him when he made an error or a mistake at his job? Remember what they did to him? They hauled his ass real quick. My other question is, how do you end racial profiling that is a way of thinking? As I was listening to Nancy Pelosi speak about, we're going to end racial profiling. Thank you for your sentiments, ma'am. However, you're out of your mind because it's not fucking possible. You cannot just say, okay, everyone stay where you are. Stop profiling Black people. Just stop. Don't do it anymore. That doesn't work. You are talking about a mentality that has been passed down from their grandpappies. And that shit ain't gone away just because you say so. You need to go to some like severe and intense mental re-engineering to get that shit out of your mind, because unfortunately it's there. It's in your subconscious. Our culture for the civil rights movement supported it, nurtured it, poured water on it, grew it like a rose. So to simply say, oh, we're going to end it. Oh, and wait, let me guess. You're going to send out decks like this one that I created today for Trigger Tuesdays. Today we're going to talk about how we can end racial profiling. So on page 1, I'd like to say to you, all Black lives matter. And when you see a Black person, do not automatically think that they are up to no good. If you think that I, or any Black person that I am affiliated with, is going to take that as a means to an end of racial profiling, you got us all the way. Play lotto, not us. Because that's what like corporate America does. Like they think they can just send in a trainer with a deck and a PowerPoint for 45 minutes with lunch. And then they tell you, now you're certified. And you put some shit on your wall and you say, I'm certified in anti-racism. Let me tell you something. I'm also certified CPR. If you choke, you don't want me saving your life. That's all I'm gonna say. I was surprised when they gave me the certificate. It's like, for real? I passed? Because I damn sure know I can't. And I won't. And sometimes when I'm in a restaurant, someone starts choking, like, does anyone know CPR? I'm like, I mean, if no one else shows up, I will try to remember. But like, next topic. Defunding the police. Before we go on to the next topic, defunding the police is about moving some of that $6 billion around and also shifting where we put certain police officers. It would be so easy to put police officers from certain communities in those communities because they have a natural relationship. They can diffuse situations and they are not walking in with an intrinsic fear of the people that they are there to protect. Because let me tell you something, you cannot protect anything that you are afraid of. Next topic. Usually on Trigger Tuesdays, because I talk like line by line about topics that are upsetting to me, I usually have a Corona or something because like Corona time is going on. But today, because I'm like doing serious topics, I just have water. Then I feel myself like getting really charged up and I'm like, damn, I should have something to cool me down. But you know what? For what? This is what it is. Welcome. Moving on. So the next one is mass shootings versus gang violence. Who should America really be afraid of? This one, honestly, I haven't really seen pop up on the news or anything like this. This is just something that's like been on my mind. And I'm like, you know, even from that conversation with the woman I had in the supermarket right at the beginning of quarantine, she was like, oh my God, if they close the schools, that like thugs, we know what she means, are going to take to the streets and like just like run amok. And I'm like, why don't you believe in our parenting skills more? Because, and then it dawned on me, I'm like, they're so afraid of our children who, if we want to be honest, like our issues are in-house. If we have a problem, we're going to fight with each other. Can someone please inform me of a situation, and maybe you do know of one, or I'll ask you, hey, multiples where Black kid walked in and shot up multiple people? I'm listening and I'm waiting. Let me listen with this ear. I don't hear anything. And I don't see, oh, wait, I do see a comment. You remember those classes? I think I'm a little late getting to that comment. So guys, please bear with me. I am new to this system. So if I'm seeing your comments out of time, on to the next topic. It's only my second week on the system, but I'm here. Okay, so what was I saying? Yeah, like while I was on that other topic, I gave you some time to think. Do we do mass shootings? No, the fuck we don't. So why are you afraid of us? Like people went to a movie theater, got shot the fuck up. By who? But you're scared of us and you're over policing us. Let's put some of that $6 billion over there because Johnny clearly is traumatized by some shit that's causing him to fucking like, I'm not talking like, oh, you did something to me or we had a fight, you beat me up. Like you're marching in with like military weapons under your coat. But America is afraid of young Black men. The most a young Black man ever do is shoot someone he knows or himself. Y'all shooting up marathons, schools with young children. But America will put on the news that we have gang violence, thugs. Well, if we got thugs, y'all got motherfucking psychos. I said what I said. Next topic. In my mind, performative allyship and all these posts going around and members of the Senate kneeling and officers kneeling but the next day showing that they actually were beating up and shooting people. There's some stuff about that. Follow me on Instagram. As a matter of fact, let me put my banner out there. So we can get into that later. Because this is Facebook and YouTube, but the real goes down on Instagram at 9. So yeah, performative allyship, in my opinion, is the new 40 acres and a mule. And the reason why I say that is like, was it a week ago, 2 weeks ago? I don't know, quarantine life, do you know? One day to the next. Yeah. They had the video of these officers that were kneeling in front of, these Black people. And the thing is here, it's like, for me, I'm a very stern person. Anyone who knows me knows that. Okay, very stern, very strict, like it. And I don't care about theatrics like that. Like, I wish I was standing there and be like, okay, you done? You can get up now. Why do I care about you being on your knees? Why? What does that do for me? This is not about, I want to see you on your knees. This is about changing the structure, policies, procedures, and laws for the way this country runs, how it operates, and how it treats its Black people. So no, I don't give a shit how many posts you put up, how many times you get on your knees, and how many times you put Black Lives Matter. Honestly, I know my fucking life matters. I don't need you to tell me. This movement didn't just start. Like, we have been doing this and pushing this and striving for this since we were taken. Like, people have been, 1972, Frederick Douglass, when did the Civil Rights Movement first start? When we were on the boat. We never wanted to fucking go anyway. So, now that we know that we as a people have been doing this civil rights movement for so long, let's get into exactly what performative allyship is. It's when you're doing something for credit and showmanship. Ask yourself, am I posting this because I legit care? Or am I posting it because it's trendy? Because right now, let's be honest, hashtag Black Lives Matter is a trend. It's a trend just like fuchsia hair was a trend last year. You know what I mean? And there are influencers who are already out there, like, there are some of them who have legit been not only called out, but found out. Like, if you show up to a protest in chiffon, lace, full makeup, with your own personal photographer, and you just kind of like stand in the scene. And don't get me wrong, it's not to say that you shouldn't get your photos. I definitely have my photos. I've shared some photos with you guys, and I wanted my photos. I'm not going to deny that. I wanted them because it's a part of my personal history. It's part of my legacy. I plan to show it to 11 when he's older. I plan to show it to my future children when they're older. I plan to show it to my grandchildren. But that's just to say, like, this is a part of our story. This is what we fought for. Not to say, here I am, a Karen. Black Lives Matter. And then your next post is a fucking kale salad. If you don't sit all the way down, but let me calm down. To combat performative allyship, to make sure that you are not performing performative allyship, you should engage and listen. Are you engaging with anyone? Are you? Are you, if you're on Twitter, that's a great place to have conversations. Guys, I'm not gonna wear eyeliner anymore. Or no, I am, but I need to get a PowerPoint, like an eyeliner that doesn't move. Because I just put it like right in the corner like 2 minutes ago and it's already moving. But anyway, engage with someone, listen. Maybe stop posting about anything and just listen. Maybe look at some of the posts, look at the stories. But whatever you do not make it about you. And don't be obvious, because here's the thing. Black people, we're very intuitive. We're spiritual. We've been doing this sage shit way before y'all put it in Whole Foods. All right? When y'all called it voodoo, now you want to call it spirituality. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, whether you believe it or not, whether you know it or not, we know you don't mean it when you don't mean it. We know. Just as much as you know. Here's the other thing. Hashtag activism. That's literally a thing now. Hashtag activism. It's when we just kind of, oh, this is what everyone's talking about. This is showing up on my Explorer page. Okay, I'm going to get into, let me repost this. Let me retweet this. But you don't really care. You're not really interested. You're not really invested in this hashtag beyond social media. Are you doing anything besides posting and hashtagging? Culture vultures. Child. I feel like culture vulture needs its whole, I need to focus on, like, did I just give you guys a nose angle? I feel like culture vultures need to, they should have stepped up. They should have stepped up. Anything that I love, I support. Anything that I mimic, I support. Don't party with us if you can't pray with us. You gotta be there for the good just as well as the bad. Because, like, even just as a friend, like, be there for your friend in good times and in bad. Culture vultures. There's not really much for me to say on that one. Last thing I'll say about performative allyship is keep your energy up beyond the trend. To my Black community out there, do not fall for their bullshit. Do not let them appease us with this bullshit, because I tell you, this is the 2020 40 acres in a mule. I had a white man say to me the other day, I believe change has come. Oh yeah, motherfucker, how you know? How could you possibly tell me that change has come? I'll agree. We have finally begun to address the problem, but don't you dare insult me by telling me that a centuries-old problem has been addressed with 2 weeks of marching and holding up signs. Like, you really think that's all we want, motherfucker? Like, this, that's what you think we want? Change has come. So what are you, the Black Martin Luther King now? Change has come. Next topic. Oh, it's 8:53. All right. I was a little, the Bronx is coming at me. Or the Uptown girl. I'm not even the Bronx. Whatevs. I was a little like, should I address this? But yes, I am going to address this. There's a difference between Black racism versus brown racism. Black racism is about African American people, people of African descent, people who were slaves in this country, who came here on boats, who were not considered humans. So I'm not talking about Asian people. I'm not talking about Latino people, although I have a lot of Latino friends, some of y'all on here, and I love y'all. And I don't mean to come against y'all, but understand that this is a Black racism issue. And we need to keep the conversation there. There are certain topics that I see on social media or comments that people are making, you will never understand, even though you have been the victim of your own kind of racism. And you know what? When your time comes, I'll be out there marching with you too. But for right now, This is about the Black racist experience. And nobody wants to hear about what you went through with your period. Like, no. Black people share way too much. And just like as a feminist, what we tell women, we don't have to be nice. We don't have to be nice. You know, this whole idea, like, you know, the Jeffrey Epsteins and all them out there like that. Hi, thank you. Fuck that. We don't have to be nice. Like, it's nice to be nice, but you do not have to be nice to someone who's not giving you that same thing. Basically, mirror someone's energy. Sorry, just looking at some text messages. Someone said they have some good news, an opportunity for me. Yeah. So yeah, this is very much about the Black racist experience. Does anyone watch Insecure? Because they had a really good episode that addressed this recently. Not yesterday or last Sunday, but I think the Sunday before, so like 3 episodes ago. Molly, anyone who watches it, she's dating an Asian American man. She gets into something with his brother, who says that an experience that she has was not rooted in racism. How does he know? And he says, I understand. I'm the victim of racism too. I'm sure you are, sir. And then, you know what? It makes me think, maybe we just need a new name for what Black people experience, because Asian and Latino, y'all experience racism. We fucking experience animalism or something, because they don't even consider us humans. I don't care what they say about, oh yeah, that was back then. They still don't. And if you are offended when I say y'all, log off, because that probably means I'm talking about you. But everyone who I'm not talking about just knows I'm not talking about them. So you know what they say, if the shoe fits, if you're offended, probably talking about you. And you know what, maybe you want to stay here, listen to some alternative shit that'll help you in your life, because things are about to change whether you like it or not. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. All right, what is the next topic? I don't know all of our topics. Oh, I have a new topic, but I didn't write it here. So let me quickly create a little banner for you guys, because as I'm going over topics, I like for people that are just joining to know what I'm saying. Where's Oprah? Have you guys seen her? She's out here posting black squares just like me and you. Well, she got a whole lot more commas than me and you. And I'm like, Oprah, Tyler Perry, what y'all doing? And yeah, you know, we always say, oh, but you don't know what people are doing privately, but these are not private people. These are Black billionaires. And I would venture to say that right now, we need all of our Black billionaires with influence on deck. If you are not on deck, then you are against the movement. Period, point blank. You are committing Black treason. Monique tried to call you out, and I'm sorry, girl, Monique. I was like, what she talking about? I still don't really understand your argument. I still don't think I really agree. But now that I see that Oprah hasn't stepped up in a big way, and Tyler Perry, neither have you. And there was a part of me that was like, oh my God, like, you're an actress, you're a host, you should be scared. But you know what? Bump that. Like, and I also want to say this to any of my people out there who are afraid to go to a protest because I've heard, they tracking your phones. they don't know if you're there. Or if you're afraid to post a black fist, I encourage you to lean on your spirituality, the spirituality that they took from us and replaced with their Christianity that has no power in it. Remember who you are, just like they said in Wakanda, which I thought that was a joke. It wasn't a joke, and it wasn't just for a movie. If we remember who we are and we own that and we stand in that, and the knowledge that we spent $1.2 trillion in the society, although we are, they want to say the minority, we might be the minority, but our money's pretty fucking major. What topic am I on? Oh yeah, where's Oprah? Like, I know it's in my bank account. I know it's in Oprah's bank account, and I don't understand why we're posting the same things and why our efforts are the same in this movement. And then on top of that, she said, oh, you know, I didn't have any children because I am a mother to all. And I get that. I get that because, you know, I'm a big sister, mother figure to a lot of people in my life outside of my own physical son. But that man laid there and said, mama, and you as a black woman who said you are everyone's mama, what have the fuck you done besides post a black square like all of us? Someone needs to call you out, and I don't care. Like, we're all this fear about, oh, well, you won't work again. Well, then, God damn it, maybe I won't. But you know what? I will go to bed every night with a pure spirit. Because let me tell you something. All these people that we look up to, I don't know what demons run through their minds when they try to lay themselves down at night. Who have you sold your soul to? Where are you? What are you doing? Where are the black billionaires? I don't know. But you know what I do know? You know what I do know? And I'm going to save that for later. I do know that I know a few black billionaires that are on the come up. So we don't need y'all. We building. We see who you riding with. And there's another one. Oh my gosh. Let's get into this. This guy here. And it's like one of those like people you want to talk about. You're not really sure if you want to talk about because you don't want everyone saying like, oh, you're just jealous. And you're like, fuck it, I don't talk about it anymore. Sure. So where are my fashion heads? Where are my fashion heads? Off-White, you know that brand? Do you have it? Do you wear it? Throw it away. He's a traitor. Let me ground myself before I get into this because this one is like. So Virgil donated $50 to a black organization and had the nerve. I don't know if he tweeted it or he Instagrammed it, Facebooked it. He made it public. So not only did you shortchange the movement, you are so disconnected that you thought you did something with your $50. Listen here, you house Negro. Can we give him his shit? I volunteer to give him his $50 back. We don't need you or your $50. And let me be the first one to say, I personally have canceled you. And I hope that anyone else who wears you cancels you. And you know what? Before this, I wasn't against, and I'm still not against interracial marriage because I don't care what anyone else does. I know what's important to me and what I do with, but like that's my business. I don't care what you do. Okay. Comments. I'll get to that later because I love all y'all. And thank you for coming. Yeah, I don't care what you do. And in fact, when I see interracial couples, especially when it's a black man and a white woman, I try not to look because I'm always like, girl, I don't want your man, even if he was not stand. And they're always like, so I make it a point not to look because even if you're looking just because sometimes it's just, sometimes it's just interesting. All right. Okay. Wonder what that's about. Sometimes you can see it. Anyway, but I try not to look because like I don't want to be bothered with that, blah, blah, blah. But right before I came on this live, I was like doing my research, like, like getting a little points for my topics. And I see that Virgil has a white wife. And that's when his $50 donation, like it upset me before because I was confused when I saw that he had a white wife. That shit really pissed me the fuck off. I'm just gonna be honest. Like I said, I don't care that you have a white wife, but that tells me how disconnected you are as a chocolate milk dud, full black brother. Out here donating $50. Good luck. Good luck. Because the black community is ripping you a new one on Instagram and Twitter. Everyone's talking about, did you know that you're the new emoji for 100? Oh, we need 2 Virgils. Yeah, that's you. So I really, for your mental state. Now, I don't even hope because I really don't care. So what would I say? I'm going to stay tuned to see how long Karen is going to stick by you when you get canceled and lose your fortune for the bullshit you did against black people. I hope the team you chose has your back. I just like when you think about the miseducation of a so I think I have Terry Crews. Have you guys heard about like what's happening with Terry Crews? And again, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm a reporter, news reporter, pop news reporter, giving you all the details of it. I could, but I'm not prepared for that tonight. But what I will tell you is Terry Crews is out of his ever-loving mind. And where my prayer warriors at? Please pray. I need a moment of silence. Dear Lord, we come before you now, praying for this lost man, not just him, Lord. We want to pray for Terry Crews. We want to put him on the altar, Lord, because he knows not what he is doing. And where's his wife? What is she telling him? Is she helping him? This brother got on Twitter and started talking about, like, if we are ripping down white supremacy, then that essentially makes us black supremacists. So you mean to tell me, because I am asking for abuse to stop, that in turn makes me an abuser? Or means that I now want to abuse? How much they pay you, Terry? How much? Huh? Huh? And are you getting residuals? Because I have a little bit more respect for you if you made a deal, if you cut a deal that's not just for you, that says, you know what, I'm going to take this check now, but every decade, you're going to have to give my offspring something. I would have more respect for you if that's what you did. How much they pay you? Did you know that when you're at war and the enemy is done using its weapon, it will discard you? Sucks for you, because the person that's using you is going to discard you, and we don't want you anymore because you lost your mind. So that is that for my political version of Trigger Tuesdays. Like I said, Trigger Tuesdays is traditionally about like random topics. Maybe I should do a random topic now. Let's see. Just end it off with one random topic, just so you guys get like a sense. I don't have a lot in here. This is still about like political stuff. I'm just telling you, like, all of my topics have really been about, I mean, what else? This is about everything that's going on too. This is about it too. I thought I had some more. I mean, I do, but that's all I care to give y'all right now. Because to be honest, as a black woman, if I put my voice out there publicly for the next until further notice, it will be about the civil rights movement. It will be about keeping that energy going. It will be about what we can do, what's happening, who's causing a problem, and where our power lies. With that said, I want to thank all of you for joining me tonight. For those of you who have joined me on YouTube, thank you so much. I am definitely moving to YouTube for political reasons, which I'll definitely get into that at some point later on a Trigger Tuesdays. I thank you all so very much for hanging in there with me. If you have any trigger topics that you would like to see me discuss later on Instagram at 9 p.m., which is where we like kind of talk about like, I don't want to say fun stuff, but just, lighter stuff, let me know. If you have a topic that you would like to see on the regular platform right now at 8 p.m., let me know. You can do that in the comment section, the private chat section, or if you are in my personal network, you can text me and let me know. Also, here's another thing. I should put this out there. Let me share my email address with you all. I do really enjoy receiving trigger topics that come from the audience and sharing those, because I'm very, very big on if one person is feeling it, that means we all are. And with that said, I'm going to end this broadcast. I thank you all so very much. If you are on YouTube, please subscribe and support Black voices. Power to the people. And long live the Black Renaissance. I love you all. Have a good night.